we have two questions. Number one, can we understand what the reward in the world to come is in our human mind? And the second question is, okay, so what's the guaranteed reward here? Okay, fine. I get it. Big reward, world to come. You know anybody that came back and told you what it was? Yeah, that's what people tell me all the time. You know anybody that came back and told you? I need something here. I need some cash. Give me some down payment. What do you got? So can we understand the truth of what the world to come is? No, we can't. As I mentioned to you earlier today, all of the good of all the people that ever existed is not even 1 hour of the world to come. I could say it 500 times. Will you understand it? No, I don't understand it either. We don't understand that level of good. As a matter of fact, mankind knows more about bad than we do about good. I could explain to you suffering and pain, and most of you will understand what I mean, at least to a certain extent. I could explain to you pleasure, but most people won't understand pleasure. I can tell you that every time I open the Daf Gemara, I open the Mishnah, I open one of Sidur, Chumash, I feel good, I feel amazing. Some people are like, what, Steve, something wrong with you? You know, a guy never opened Chumash, like, why are you so excited about Moses? Something wrong with you? Like, you won't understand what that pleasure is. But if I tell him, oh, by the way, you know, I lost the amount of, the count of how many surgeries I had, and how many needles I had to shoot myself with, and how many pills I had to take, and I had to bleed, and this. I told him all my surgery story. Everyone understands that. Everyone understands that I was screaming my lungs out after the first surgery, the second surgery, the third surgery, the fourth surgery. Everyone understands that pain to a certain extent. But if I tell him, listen, I enjoy the first sentence of this week's parasha more than my first 26 years of my life, you're not going to understand that. No one's going to understand that unless they were in it. So the answer to the first question is, can you understand Olam Haba? Sadly, no. But the good news is that the reward that you get here for really fulfilling the mitzvot of Hashem Yitbarach will give you an understanding of Olam Haba. But you have to understand what the reward really is. Now the Rambam in Ilchot Tshuva 9.1, he says that when one gets money, or something material, as a reward from Shemayim for one of the mitzvot that they did, the first thing they have to acknowledge is that the money is not the reward. It's not even a down payment on the reward. It's too small. Even if Hashem gives you $1 million, $1 billion, whatever it is, it's not the real reward. What it is it's fulfilling the promise that mitzvah goeret mitzvah, which is one mitzvah leads to another. Meaning, Hashem saw that you gave tzedakah. He saw you're generous and you want to fulfill the mitzvah of tzedakah. He says every time you get money, you're fulfilling the mitzvah of MUSSAR. You give 10%. You get $4,000 a month in income. You're fulfilling the mitzvah as it's written, not as, unfortunately, many people do it today, is they take off all of the expenses, which is $3,800 out of the $4,000. So they have $200, they give 10% of the $200. So they give $20 a month. That's not really the way you're supposed to do MUSSAR. The way you're supposed to do MUSSAR is out of the gross, because that forces you to have emunah. So you get $4,000 a month, let's say. I'm just giving you an example. $4,000 a month in income. You're supposed to, right off the bat, take $400. That's the MUSSAR. That is the tithe. That is where Hashem says, test me. You're not allowed to test me with anything else, but for that you're allowed to test me. I guarantee that you will actually reach wealth. You'll become rich in this life if you give MUSSAR on a regular basis forever. Sometimes you get rich after a year, sometimes you get rich after many years, but the point is, Hashem guarantees you will become rich if you do this. So, if Hashem sees that you're doing it, you're getting a check, you don't even know if you have enough for all of your expenses, but you know that you want to fulfill this mitzvah, you're excited about this mitzvah, you're not thinking about it twice, you take the $4,000, you take $400 out of it, You give $400 towards some type of Torah-related item. Obviously, you're not giving it to the local alcoholic. You're giving it to something related to Hashem. And you do this on a regular basis. And Hashem says, oh, wow, look how excited he or she is about giving the MUSSAR. Let me give them more money. So they give more MUSSAR. That's what it means, mitzvah gveret mitzvah. You made a mitzvah, so Hashem says, oh, so let me give you an opportunity to make even a bigger mitzvah. You like this mitzvah of mine so much, let me give you more of it. You know, it's like you go to your mom's house, you haven't been there in a while, and your mom says, oh, honey, you hungry? It's the first question every mother asks. Honey, you hungry? You're not allowed to say no, obviously. Even if you ate 5, buckets full of chicken right before you got there, you're still not allowed to say no. You're like, oh yeah, I'm starving, Ima. You show up, you take a bite. What is your mom's dream after you take the first bite? Wow, amazing, delicious. Why? Because as soon as you finish the word delicious, she put 3 more plates on your head. She's giving you, why? Because you like my food so much, I'm going to give you more. You understand? Hashem Yitbarach is saying, you like my mitzvot so much, you like to give money away to fulfill the mitzvah of Maaseh, let me give you more money. You like learning my Torah? Let me give you more insights that will lead you to learn even more. Let me give you more strength so you can actually be awake for longer and learn more. Oh, you fulfilled my mitzvah of marriage? Let me give you an opportunity to fulfill another mitzvah. It's called children, raising them. Every single time you fulfill a mitzvah, Hashem rewards you with another mitzvah. So when He gives you money, or He gives you a building, or He gives you a wife, or He gives you children, that is not the actual reward. That is another opportunity to generate a bigger reward. When is that reward? The ultimate reward is in the next world. But the reward that you're seeing here, the Rambam says that's not the real reward, b'chlal. That's just enabling you to make more mitzvot. But also, sadly, it's the same token with sins. Hashem Elachem, when someone makes a sin, Hashem says, oh, you don't like watching your eyes, huh? You watch the Shiur Torah, it says watch your eyes, you don't like watching your eyes. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send the girl to you. I'm going to give you another test. You didn't want to watch your eyes, so now I'm going to make that girl like you then. Now you have a serious problem. Because now your eyes are turning into action. Then you turn in action, she likes you, you like her. Shem Yachem. Says, oh, you made another sin. Okay. Now I'm going to wake you up for another sin. She's going to tell you she's not Jewish. But you're already in love with her. What are you going to do then? And one sin becomes another and another, and Hashem Yachem. That's how somebody can lose his share of the world to come. It's a very, very dangerous situation. Now, here's the best part, in my opinion, of the reward that if we take it into account, we could already truly feel Olam Haba here. Now, obviously, having children, wife, husband, a little bit of money, so you have parnasah, all those things are wonderful. But not everyone gets all of this. Some Jews are wealthy, some are not. Some are married, some are not. Some have children, some don't. Doesn't necessarily mean they're all wicked. So, if we actually dig deep down, someone that's fulfilling the Torah, that not only learns it, but actually lives it. I wrote down, I think this is no less than 50 different character traits that he's guaranteed to get as a result of his learning Torah. Just as a result of fulfilling Torah as a man or a woman, this is what you get. First and foremost, you get inner peace. Because when you live with Hashem as your direction, your purpose, your everything, that already gives you inner peace that there's a reason for you to be in this world. Where if there is difficulty in life, you know he's the boss. He's running the show. He knows what he's doing. He's been here for a while. You know that something, somehow, it's going to be okay. All right, it's not fun. Okay, it's depressing. Okay, it's difficult. But you know that there's an inner peace inside you when you're living and you're connected to Torah. You know what? I know you know what you're doing, Hashem. Just if you don't mind, let me know. At your earliest. That is, by itself, is a share of the world to come. But living here. That inner peace, that comfort that you actually have, that someone's watching, it's invigorating. Second, learning Torah is intellectually stimulating. No one that's ever learned Torah has ever said it's boring. Ever. Really learn Torah. Yeah, if you try it in the beginning when you first start learning Torah, it's so difficult you don't understand anything sometimes. Or if you're learning the wrong Torah, meaning that you're learning something that's completely not applicable to you, or at a higher level than you are, then it could be torture. But if you're learning the right Torah for you, even from day one, it's intellectually stimulating. Keeps your mind moving, and the deeper you get into it, the more your mind works, and it sharpens your brain. I'm going to go briefly in all these because there's a lot. There's over 50 different things. Next thing is you're able to achieve purity. Meaning that you can become a pure person, like someone that is clean of sin, clean of the grossness of the outside, of how people are just, not necessarily physically dirty, but you just sense that people are just dirty. They're they chase sins. They chase bad stuff. When you're connected to the Torah, you feel bad for them. You feel bad for anyone that even wants that. The next thing is that when you learn Torah, you're forced at some point, if you're going to live it. If you learn it like it's a history book, then none of this applies to you. But if you're learning it in order to live it, in order to fulfill it, it's going to force you to develop your behavior. So the first and most important thing is behavior development, which by itself would make you a better person over time. Next, maturity. You can't be a little baby learning Torah. There's no babies in the Torah. It'll force you to be mature. So in today's unfortunate loser generation of entitled kids that think that at the age of 25 they're already supposed to have a house and a job that pays them $150,000 a year just because they graduated college, because they got a trophy for every competition they ever failed at. The reality of it is that in real life there's no such thing. In real life you achieve based on your actual achievement. You attain based on your actual achievements. So meaning that you're only going to get a reward if you won. So by learning Torah, you're learning from previous experiences. You're learning things that are difficult to hear. You're learning some things that are pleasant to hear. But it forces you to mature. Next thing is clarity. That, to me personally, once I had a little bit of version of it when I started learning Torah, by itself was worth learning Torah. To have clarity, it's not just having clarity of just your own independent purpose in life, but it's to have clarity of just the overall world around you. Like sometimes things don't make sense. You don't understand, why is this guy even alive? Like he's so evil, he's so bad, he's so this, he's so that. Like why did Hashem bring him to the world? Why did Hashem create bugs? Why did Hashem create the cow? You start asking questions, and when you don't have Hashem, you don't have the Torah as a guide, you have no idea. So you just ask questions, and eventually you just lose hope. And it's very, very easy to become depressed, and it's very easy to see everything blurry. Everything just becomes dull. You just live life like it's a thing. It's a thing to do, because you're alive. And you can waste your life that way. So that clarity will affect you everywhere. It will affect you at work, where you'll know you're not going to waste time on certain things that are mindless and a waste of time. You're going to value your time. You're going to also have clarity in regards to what you want in life, whether you're going to get married, you're not going to get married, whether she's the right one, he's the right one. You know what you want. And one of the most difficult things that I see in a lot of young people, and some old, but mostly young people, is they have no idea what they want. Some of them come to me to help them with shidduchim, which is not my expertise, and nor do I want it to be my expertise, but I meet a lot of people. So they ask me to help them with shidduchim. The problem is they have no idea what they want. So when I introduce them to someone, and they complain about this person, it's like, the last thing I ever wanted was to help you with the shidduch, and now you're complaining to me about it? So what's the problem? They have no idea what they want. They know what they are, but they have no idea what they want. So that clarity you'll definitely get as a result of gluing yourself to the Torah. Next thing is, for anyone that's already married, if you're actually going to fulfill the Torah, you're going to have shlom bayit. Yes, there's ups and downs. Yes, of course, you're going to have sometimes that are more difficult than others. You're going to have different tests, but when you have shlom bayit, you're able to achieve your ultimate purpose. You're able to have that partner that's going to be able to enable you to get to a higher level that you can't get to by yourself. Remember, you each come to the world as half a soul. Your soulmate completes you. Why are they called soulmate? Why is your wife or husband called a soulmate? Because that's the other half. Together you'll be able to achieve your ultimate purpose. By yourself you can't achieve it. Next is child development. This is obviously great. This is, for any new parents, myself included, main place that I get, only place really that I get any instructions of how to raise my kids is using the Torah as an instruction set. It's the only way to really understand why Hashem made certain kids more difficult than others, certain kids smarter than others, and so on, or how to deal with them. Someone's asking online, I happened to see it, why did Hashem create radical Muslims? For the same reason that Hashem created anything that goes against Am Yisrael. They are one of His tools. If Am Yisrael are fulfilling the mitzvot and are doing the will of Hashem, Hashem will reward them with all the goodness in this world and the next. If they don't, before Hashem destroys anyone eternally, obviously He gives them warnings. So to the nation as a whole, He already promised us not to destroy us, but He has to wake us up. He uses the Muslims, the radical Muslims, or the radical Christians, or the radical anyone else that hates Jews, as tools to wake us up. They're the stick. They're the stick. If we do what Hashem wants, we have no problem. If we don't, then Hashem has to use a stick to hit us a few times to wake us up. Now, next thing is business acumen. You want to be an expert in business? Learn Torah. It'll sharpen your mind. Your mathematical skills will become excellent because you're forced to do some math in your head. Aside from that, it'll also clear up your brain. You'll be able to break down complex situations into simple formulas. Now, why does that matter in business? Because in business, in order for you to be really successful, you have to be able to explain very, very difficult things to the average idiot. Because your customer will be the average idiot. He's not going to be smart like you. He doesn't understand what CRM means. You understand what CRM means. You understand that it means client relationship manager. He doesn't understand what that means, client relationship manager. You understand that S&P means Standard & Poor's 500. He doesn't understand that. You understand that a PE means price over earnings ratio, which is a multiple to evaluate whether the company's stock is expensive or cheap. He doesn't understand it. So if you learn Torah, especially Gemara, you're going to already be forced to learn yourself in a way to explain this very, very difficult thing and break it down into a simple way. So you'll be able to apply it in other parts of your life, including business. Confidence. You'll never have a reason not to be confident. Your father is God. It doesn't get better than that. Everybody says, hey, listen, you should be careful. You know who my father is? Who's your father? He's the principal of the school. Everybody's like, you're principal of the school. Your father's God. Why wouldn't you be confident? He loves you. He cares about you. He gives you everything you want. Why wouldn't you be confident? Aside from that, you also develop intellect. You'll develop a lot of good character traits, which will give you confidence. Just don't take it to your head to the point where you become arrogant. Next thing is faith. You'll have faith. You'll have emunah. You'll have the ability to know that things are going to be okay. Like there's someone that's running the world, and there's a method to the madness. Craziness is going to happen one way or another, but when you know that someone's doing it, it'll give you peace of mind to just function in your own little world, your own microscopic world. Next thing is, it'll force you to have patience, because sometimes to develop a chidush can take you hours, weeks, months, or even years. Your own Torah insight can take a very, very long time to actually develop. It'll force you to be patient, or also to even understand something. Just understand what Chazal, what Moses, what Abraham, what anybody actually is saying. Sometimes it takes time. It's not all sitting there in a neat way like these books on the shelves are. You know, sometimes it takes a while to really understand, what does God really mean? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? Sometimes it'll take you to reading it 5, 6, 7, 10 times. So the only way you're going to get yourself motivated enough to read it 10 times is if you're patient. Patience is one of the most important skills you could have in life. Patience in marriage, patience in raising children, patience in business, patience in relationships altogether. If you don't have patience, you're automatically unpleasing to everyone around you. A person that's not patient is practically unbearable to the world around them, because you force everyone else around you to walk on eggshells. You force everyone around you to be anxious because, oh, when is he going to lose his patience on me? Next thing is you have self-help from the Almighty. People spend hundreds and hundreds, and in some cases tens of thousands of dollars getting self-help, going to people like Tony Robbins, going to different types of mentors and coaches and self-help books of all kinds. And the reality of it is, you don't need any of it. You can learn everything and anything that you want from the Torah. Different parts of the Torah, obviously, but nonetheless from the Torah. And where is the advice coming from? The Almighty. Doesn't get better. Next thing is, you could learn experience without experiencing it. Most valuable experience is other people's experience, because it doesn't cost you any money. Your experiences could be very, very expensive and painful. I had a friend, his name was Dave Pruitt. He had one guy, he had a big company, and this one CFO made a $5 million mistake. $5 million mistake. Company lost $5 million. When it was discovered, he came to my friend Dave Pruitt's office with his resignation paper. Letter: I'm resigning, I'm sorry, I messed up, I lost the company $5 million. My friend Dave took the paper and ripped it up. He goes, are you kidding me? You're not going now. He goes, you don't want to fire me? He goes, after I spent $5 million sending you to school. You understand? Your experience is very valuable, so the best experience is the cheapest one. Who? Other people's experience. All the experience you could possibly want is in the Torah. Whether you're going to learn from the experience of the sages, or the forefathers, or the 12 tribes, or the tzaddikim, or even your rabbis that are alive now, you can just see how they act. Experience from the Torah. Next thing is knowledge. Endless amount of knowledge. Anything and everything you want. Whether you want to know about astrology, or you want to know about science, you want to know about medicine, you want to know about health. You can learn every single one of those things at different parts of the Torah. This is still not even half the list. Purpose, living with a purpose. Obviously, this is already something we've covered, but again, if you don't have a purpose, it may not seem to matter when you're young, or you're 15, 16, 20, 25 years old. It doesn't care if you have a purpose. All you want to do is find a new girl. All you really want to do is beat this guy in a video game. All you really want to do is just get the next job. You know, it's simple things. That's your purpose. But in reality, at some point, when you grow up and mature, you're going to want to have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose, you're going to want to die. Because then life has no purpose, and therefore, as soon as something doesn't go your way, you'll want to commit suicide. So, having a purpose is definitely one of the things you'll achieve. In addition to that, you'll also achieve real wisdom. And wisdom is different than knowledge. Wisdom is a combination of knowledge with knowing how to apply it from experience. Now again, you could attain wisdom through two things. One is in a guaranteed way, which is by learning Torah. One is a not so guaranteed way, which is by just getting old. Now, the fact that it's not guaranteed to gain wisdom alone is enough of a reason not to wait till you get old, but again, who wants to wait so long? Next thing is achievement. Every single time you make a certain amount of money or you attain a certain amount of material wealth, in the beginning it's exciting. I could tell you that making the first $1 million that I made was, I guess, somewhat exciting. But doing it 5th time, 6th time, 10th time didn't really mean anything. Things lose their value in the material world. They just lose their value. Eventually you just don't care. Eventually it's just a competition just to win. It has nothing to do with the actual, what you're attaining. Whereas with the Torah and with intellectual stimulation, with wisdom, with knowledge, every new chidush, every new insight is going to give you this feeling that no material in the world could ever give you. Fortunately, that's the best I can do as far as explaining it, because the only other way you can understand it is by doing it yourself. Having unity with your ancestors, having unity with history, feeling like you're part of creation from the beginning, not just you exist now independently. Having unity with your current nation now, being part of a nation. I mean, many people in the world today are part of nothing. You know, like if someone is Chinese, they say, oh yeah, I'm from China. But you say, are you part of the Chinese people? The answer most of the time is not necessarily the case. They're not necessarily part of the Chinese people. They're just Chinese. They don't feel like they're part of the people. They're not, because they live in America, they live in China, let's say. They're not necessarily going to visit, because they don't feel like they're one with the nation. They happen to, it's like a race. But when you're Jewish, it's not a race. It's a people, it's a lifestyle, it's a religion, it's a bunch of different things. So when you're a Jew, whether you like it or not, you're part of something that's much bigger than you. Next thing is, it forces you to be charitable. If you actually want to be righteous, you have to be charitable. Can't be cheap, can't be stingy. What the Rambam says, that if you have a problem with money, if you like money too much and you don't like to give it, then take some money, whatever you don't consider too much, because obviously you have a problem with money to begin with. So let's say, I don't know, take $20. Instead of giving the $20 to one particular person and giving yourself a heart attack, take the $20, get change for singles. Get 20 singles and give it to 20 different people. Why? The reason why is, number one, you're not going to get a heart attack for giving $20 to one person. And number two, even more so, after giving to 20 people, you're going to force yourself to learn and develop a feeling of actually what it feels like to give. You're going to get yourself acclimated to giving. Get used to giving. And that's one way to overcome your desire, where after a while you keep doing this on a regular basis, you're going to have a much easier time giving. And there's even more, larger amounts. Next part is happiness, real happiness. Happiness from the material world, and I can tell you from experience, is impossible. Some people that I know have endless amount of money. Most miserable people on earth. Not necessarily by default. Some of them are, say they're happy, but in reality they have a purposeless life. If they didn't have their money, no one would even look at them. If they didn't have their money, no one would even acknowledge them. So, again, it's having your whole life, your whole existence based on something that's temporary is not exactly a good existence, and it definitely cannot help you achieve happiness. Fulfillment. Again, this is something, a lot of these things sound the same, but they're actually quite different. Fulfillment is just having not just a purpose, overall purpose, but a fulfillment on a regular basis. Every day you feel like you've achieved something. Every day you feel like there was a reason for today to exist. Even if today was full of hardship, it has a higher purpose. It was kaparat avonot. Today was extremely difficult for me, so at least it fulfilled my purpose of repenting. Okay, today was awful. I got a flat tire. The kid was crying. The other one was this. All these different things that happened to you. If you just live a secular life, you can just pretty much say today sucks. Today sucks. Today was terrible. It's awful. There's no other. You pretty much say, I wish today didn't exist. But if you're connected and glued to Hashem Yitbarach, Even the bad day has a purpose. It's called kaparat avanot, a repentance for your sins. Guidance. Obviously, using Hashem and His Torah as a guide, it doesn't get better than that. It pretty much gives you a map of how to live life. It's a love letter from Hashem of how to go about your life, how to be successful, how to be happy, how to be righteous, how to be generous, how to do anything and everything that's any good in this world, how to do it. And how to get, most biggest guidance is how to get to Olam Haba. What's the directions? Excitement. If you're actually connected to the Torah, you'll never be bored. One of the problems that a lot of secular people that I know have, especially young ones, is they're constantly bored. They're forced to do more things in a material world just so they don't kill themselves. Both mentally and physically, because they're so bored. They go on vacation, and as soon as the vacation starts, they're already bored, can't wait for the next vacation. As soon as they bought something, they're bored of it, they want something new. They got a new car, they're already looking at the neighbor's car because it's newer, it's one day old, one day newer. It's very easy to get bored when you're not constantly connected to Hashem. So when you're connected to Hashem, you're always going to be excited because there's always going to be something going on in your neshama, there's always going to be something going on in your mind. Almost done. No jealousy. If you want a chance at being resurrected at the days of Mashiach, you cannot have jealousy. So by learning Torah, you'll force yourself to eliminate your jealousy, with the exception of one form of jealousy that you're allowed to have. You're allowed to be jealous of another person that knows more Torah than you. Other than that, you're never allowed to be jealous, because being jealous is in essence a form of kfirah. It's a form of heresy, because you're saying that Hashem made a mistake by giving him something and not giving it to you. So you can't learn Hashem's Torah and be a kofar at the same time. So it's like the same time that you can't be excited and sad at the same time. You can't be happy and mad at the same time. So if you ever have a problem, if you're ever really, really angry, and this is harder to do than it is to say, but if you're ever really, really angry, take a baby and look at the baby. Serious. Take a little baby and look at the baby. You'll stop being angry. Because a baby will have an inclination to make anyone that looks at it, unless you're like, I don't know, Nazi Germany or something, but anyone that's normal will look at a baby and become happy. So if you have a baby around somewhere, I don't know if you have a baby like running around somewhere, or you just want to come over my house, you can look at a baby for a few minutes. We charge only $10 a baby. Then it'll stop you from being angry. But don't come to my house angry. So you just only pick up my baby if you're happy. So it'll eliminate that jealousy. Next thing is driven. Driven. I mean, obviously, in order for you to be a Talmid Chacham, in order for you to achieve the purpose, you have to be driven. You can't get to a point of knowledge, you can't go to a point of purpose by being lazy bum. You have to be driven. You have to be ambitious. And most importantly, you have to be structured. You have to have a structured life. You can't just wake up whenever you feel like it, go to sleep whenever you feel like it, and hope for the best to happen in between. You have to have a structured life. When to work, when to eat, when to sleep, when to be with family, when to learn. This is much harder to do than to say, but nonetheless, in order for you to achieve real purpose and real success, you have to have a structured life. Another thing is, we're almost done, right direction. You know for sure, once you're in Torah, you're really in it. Not like you just started, you're not really like... Once you're in the Torah world, you know for sure you're going the right direction. You have a certain level of certainty that this is it. Definitely going the right. You know how like you got lost on the road? You don't have a GPS. You got lost on the road, but finally you got to a certain place where you know for sure this is the right place. That's it. You feel that all the time. Next thing is being good. It feels good to be good. No one could ever say, you know what, that guy, what a jerk. Can't. If you're really fulfilling Torah. If you're just one of those posers, if you're one of those fakers that has a long beard and is cheating everybody because of it, then obviously none of this stuff applies to you. You should get out of my room. Don't learn with me. I don't like you. But if you want to actually fulfill your purpose and you want to be good, then you'll try to be good. And eventually you'll get to be good. And being good feels good. At least trying to be good feels good. Spiritual enlightenment. Impossible for me to explain. but it's a certain sense of, I've never done drugs in my life, but whoever did, whoever understands what it means, it's a certain high. It's a certain high where you just feel something amazing all the time, or at least sometimes. And there's different levels of it. There's a level that you feel on a day-to-day basis, just because you're connected to the Creator. And then there's something you can potentially get if you learn a lot of Torah. Like a lot. Not like 2 hours. A lot. For a while. Not even just for one, like a lot. And there's a certain feeling that you can get that... How do I explain this? It connects the spiritual with the physical. It's impossible for me to explain, but it's something out of this world. It's a feeling that no high in the world could even come close to. It's, I guess, for lack of a better word, it's a out-of-body experience. It's unbelievable. You'll have a chance of getting there. You'll be motivated and you'll be motivating. Anyone that's connected to Hashem is always motivated to do more, but he's also wants to motivate others. Wants to do others, because when good, the definition of good is something that wants to create good. I know if you're good, if you're doing good things. If you're doing good things, that means you're creating good. One of the reasons why Hashem created the world is because He's good. In order to be good, you have to create more good. If we want to be good, we have to show that we're good. You can't just be good and you're locked in a cave by yourself, and while everybody else outside of the cave is starving and you have all the food. If you have the goods, you want to share them because you're good. So you'll be motivated and you'll be motivating. You'll also be very careful because you're not going to want to ruin it. This is one part of Yirat Shamayim. You will be careful because you're not going to want to ruin it. You're not going to want to skip study sessions. You're not going to want to curse. You're not going to want to scream. You're not going to want to get mad. You're not going to want to do certain things that make you lose all of it in an instant. That amazing feeling we talked about for the last 20 minutes, you lose it in an instant with one yell. One curse. You'll be concerned, which means you'll always be monitoring which direction you're going to. And most importantly, you'll have the big picture. And that big picture is the ultimate purpose. And that ultimate purpose depends on two things that everyone talks about and has millions of lectures about. But no one truly understands what it means, unless they know at least some parts of the reward in this world, which is everything I just said. And those two things are, to get the big picture, to be the big winner, you have to have two things. Emunah and bitachon. Emunah means there's someone running the world, and they got it under control. Don't worry about it. Bitachon means they also got you in mind, and they'll take care of you. So, even a monkey could be convinced that there's a creator. So having emunah is not exactly that big of an attainment. Bitachon is something different, something that requires a little bit of effort. So Hashem told Rabbi Hanina ben Akashya at the end of every Mishnah, and he gave him obviously the Siyat Yishmai to make this ma'amal, to say this saying, which is that the Holy One blessed is He wished to confer merit upon Israel, therefore He gave them Torah and mitzvot in abundance. As it is said, Hashem desired for the sake of Israel's righteousness that the Torah be made great and glorious. In so many words, Hashem gave you an opportunity to attain this entire list that I just told you, just in this world. And this is not even a down payment of the real reward. The way you do it is following what Rabbi Hanina is telling us at the end of every Mishnah, which is fulfill this abundance of Torah and mitzvot, collect those diamonds as often as you possibly can, and everything's possible. Any questions? Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'Amen.